All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harry McCaskill. I'm one of the senior advisors and a head of desk here at ShareWise. We're very, very pleased to be able to host this webinar today. We've got the Executive Chairman John Prineas at St. George Mining, which is on the ASX. As many of you know, the ticket code is SGQ. Now, just a little bit of a breakdown on how today's webinar will go. It should be engaging. It should be really, really good. I want everyone to sort of take the opportunity to be able to ask John as many questions as you might have, and get to know the business a little bit more about those sort of questions you've got. But John will go through a presentation initially about today's announcements, which is looking very, very exciting for the company. They've got some really, really key points that I know John is excited to go through as well. At the end, we'll go through that Q&A. I've got a few questions of my own I'm interested in, John. So we'll see how you go there. But again, my name's Harry McCaskill. The webinar is recorded. So if you do have to leave early, make sure you jump on our YouTube channel to be able to watch that. I'm sure John will have a copy. So John, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more and the company St. George Mining, but I appreciate your time. It should be good.
Thank you very much, Harry. And thank you everyone for tuning in. It's a great day to be doing the webinar. We've had a very strong announcement this morning of the latest drill results, the first batch of RC drill results at the Araxá Project. So high-grade rare earths and niobium from surface. Think intercepts up to 41 meters, so very, very strong. Just underscores again the quality of the mineralisation there. So I'd like to just comment on that a bit further and take everyone through the presentation for the project as well.
Beautiful.
So everything is okay. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen. I'll let you know if it's working. And throughout the presentation, guys, everyone listening, drop in your questions. So they're there at the end. You might have some that sort of come through. I might ask John throughout the presentation. So again, I want it to be interactive. I want you guys to get the most out of this, and for both parties to utilize this opportunity. And again, John, thanks for your time. I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you take it away, and I'll sort of come back to you sort of throughout and towards the end.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you. What you see on the screen there is ferroniobium, which is the main product from a niobium operation. We hope to be producing that in about 2 years' time. We acquired the Araxá Project in earlier this year, in February this year. We were really attracted to the project because of a number of features. These are basically the key features that really excited us. Traditionally, St. George has been exploring for nickel and lithium in Western Australia. Lithium and nickel, of course, totally out of favor at the moment. The supply response has been huge and shattered those commodities. We wanted a different project, one which did not have exploration risk and one which was in stable commodities. We found that with the Araxá Project, niobium and rare earths. We have a world-class resource already, so there had been enough drilling historically to put together a JORC resource. We did that in April this year. So there's already a globally significant resource of rare earths and niobium. This is a carbonatite-hosted deposit, same kind of rare earths that Lynas Corporation has at Mount Weld and MP Materials has at Mountain Pass. So these are the two biggest producers of rare earths outside of China. And we're lucky enough to have a similar style deposit to those guys. And of course, in the niobium space, we're exactly the same as our neighbours, CBMM, adjoining our tenement area. I can have 1 foot on our tenement and 1 foot on CBMM's tenement. That's how close we are. We have the same kind of rocks, so we know we've got a good quality niobium potential there as well. One of the great positives is the deposit characteristics. This is a weathered profile that starts from surface, goes down to about 100, sometimes 150 meters. So even though we're a hard rock carbonatite-hosted deposit, there's been so much weathering over the past thousands and thousands of years that the material in the top 100 is really just soft dirt. There's no blasting required. It's free digging. And the resource is open. So it's open in all directions. It's open at depth. It's open to the north, south, east and west. So great opportunity to even increase the existing globally significant resource. Another big point of difference for this project is its location in an established mining district. So we've got the big CBMM operation on the east. We've got a big phosphate operation on the west, Mosaic, big American company. So this area is very experienced in mining. Transport infrastructure is there. Low-cost hydro renewable power is accessible to us. And the community there understands environmental permitting. It's not like there's never been a mine in this area. They live off the mining industry. So that makes it really, really favorable project logistics for us. We're new to Brazil, so it was very important for us to put together a team in country very quickly. And we were lucky enough to recruit a number of ex-CBMM senior executives. These are all engineers, the kind of people that build mines and operate mines. They've given us more than 100 years of combined experience in Brazil. So this is a great positive, gives us the depth of expertise to take this project forward. So here's our world-class resource. This is really the biggest strength of the project. Anyone involved in the mining company knows that grade is king, and the resource is really what underpins a successful company. So we have a JORC resource announced in April in the niobium space, 41.2 million tonnes at 0.68% niobium oxide. Most of it is in the inferred portion, but we're drilling now to convert a lot of that into indicated and measured. You can see that the indicated and measured, the grades are a bit higher. So hopefully, as we complete this drilling program, we'll also creep up the head grade for the deposit. In the rare earth space, this is even more spectacular. 40.6 million tonnes at 4.13% TREO, with a pretty high cutoff of 2%. A lot of companies would be happy to have 2% as their head grade. That's our cutoff. So again, most of it in the inferred category, we're drilling to convert that into the indicated. In terms of tonnes, you compare us to Mountain Pass, we have the same tonnes, 40.6 million tonnes. And in terms of head grade, we're actually the same as Mount Weld, Linus's operation, 4.1%. So already comparable to those big boys in terms of the rare earth potential. 1.7 million tonnes of contained rare earth, which is really quite significant, and 280,000 tonnes of niobium. Location, as I said, is very important. This photo is an aerial view of the Barreiro Carbonatite. So it's a classic carbonatite geology, a circular feature. You can see CBMM's operation on the eastern side, Mosaic's operation on the western side, and we are the red outline in the northern part of the carbonatite. So the same geology as our neighbours, so that gives us a lot of confidence that we've got the same sort of opportunity to make a commercial product. We're in the state of Minas Gerais, which is a tier 1 jurisdiction for mining, very experienced mining government there. We're 6 kilometres away from Araxá town itself. That gives us access to a skilled workforce. Governor Zima, the governor of Minas Gerais, is from Araxá town itself. He has personally said to us he wants to see another mining operation up and running. He wants jobs and prosperity for his community. So we're getting great support from the locals to get this mine up and running. CBMM have been trucking product to market for the past 50 years. So we know there's a proven route to market with transport infrastructure. We're on the grid for accessible, low-cost renewable electricity. And again, you can see from this photo that we've got big mining operations all around us. This is not virgin territory for mining. It's going to be relatively easy to get environmental permitting because it's already well understood. Favorable deposit characteristics are also the strength. These drill hits are some of the historical hits that we have. You can see thick, high-grade mineralisation from surface, 43 metres at 1.5% niobium oxide from surface. In the rare earth space, even again more spectacular, 60 metres at 11.1% TREO from surface. So immediately gives you a feeling for the economic potential. Those kind of thicknesses and grades speak to economic volume of mineralisation. The mineralisation starts from surface. So far, it's been modelled just down to 100 metres, and it's open at depth. We know our neighbours at CBMM have drilled down to 800 metres and are still seeing high-grade mineralisation. And we've also seen our own drilling down to about 150 metres with high-grade mineralisation. So the focus, though, is to just drill out the weathered profile because that's what you'll be drilling in the first, first mining in the first 20 to 30 years. Again, it's free digging mineralisation, no blasting required. If you log into the MP Materials website, one of the photos you'll see is a video of a big blast taking place, a big cloud of dirt. We don't have blasting. The weather profile is very easy to dig up with an excavator. That's very good for operating costs, very good for capex, minimum crushing and grinding in the flotation process. We have similar geology to CBMM, so we know we do the metallurgical test work, which should be out in the next 4 to 6 weeks, that will be able to produce a commercial product. And because we have a very small footprint, we have very good ESG credentials. So we're not a big bulk, low tonnage project where you have big ground disturbance over a very wide area. This is really quite small area that we have to dig up. For example, we probably have to put about 200,000 tons of dirt through the processing to get the equivalent end product that a low-grade deposit would have to put in 3 or 4 million tons. So that just gives you an immediate feel for the low-cost operating environment we're in. Drilling program underway, so we already have a fantastic, globally significant resource, but we want to make it bigger. First thing we did was some auger drilling. We've already announced the success there. We've encountered a new zone in the eastern fringe of the tenement area, a high-grade rare earths, up to 13+% TREO. So we made a big discovery here. We're going to drill this out now with deeper drilling with the RC, and that should add a lot more tons to our mineral resource estimate. The first assays from the RC drilling were announced today. Again, we've confirmed high-grade mineralisation from surface, 13.86% TREO, 7% niobium are the highest grades, and intercepts up to 44 meters thick. So this is fantastic vindication of the quality of the mineralisation and the economic potential. Diamond drilling has started. We don't have any assays for that yet. They're pending, but that is basically the key for expansion of the project, drilling to the north, the east, and the west, and also at depth. So big opportunity there to increase the already world-class resource. This is a comparison of carbonatite rare earth deposits to others. This analysis was produced by Project Blue, and you can see carbonatite-hosted deposits actually have lower costs than all the other style of deposits. So we're very lucky to have this carbonatite deposit. Again, it's no coincidence that Mountain Pass and Mount Weld are the only two big producing mines outside of the US. They are carbonatite-hosted, and we're just like them. So we're really quite enthusiastic about progressing this operation with that kind of competitive cost structure. We've added 4 senior executives in Brazil, ex-CBMM employees. Tiago Amaral handles all the licensing, ESG management, and also business development. And that's what he did at CBMM at a very senior level. Adriano Rios, also one of our directors in Brazil. He was basically in charge of all the mining operation for CBMM for several years, everything across mine planning, metallurgy, etc. Carlos Arroyo, he's the man that built CBMM's plant, so he's the plant engineer. He'll help us build our plant in an efficient and cost-effective way. And the world's best expert on mineral processing for niobium and this carbonatite mineralisation is Ricardo Nardi, and he's on our team as well. So these are all engineers, people that build and operate mines. So we have the expertise to take this project forward. We also have 2 Australian Brazilians in our Perth office. Paul Arroyo, trained as a geologist in Brazil, but has had very senior positions in advisory firms like SRK, Hatch, Polaris. So he's got a real economic bent to his expertise. And our group exploration manager is Wandeli Basso, again, trained as a geologist in Brazil, but has been in Perth for many years, so he's leading the charge for the geology and the drilling program. We've added Mr. Adolfo Saxida as an advisor to the board, so he's the former Minister of Mines in Brazil, so very recently in 2022, and before that a long history with the Ministry of Economics. So we got a great connections there in the regulatory environment through Mr. Saxida. Permitting, I said, will be relatively easy, but we still want the top team on our case. So we've got Mr. Germano Vieira of Auger Consultants. He was the former Secretary of the Environment, so he knows exactly what's needed to get these approvals through. One of the other ways we've de-risked the project is to sign a cooperation agreement with the state government of Minas Gerais. So we signed an agreement to invest in the state, and they, in exchange, will expedite our permitting approvals. This is a photo of the signing ceremony last year. Ladin Resources, a very successful ASX lithium developer, did the same thing, and they got their licensing through in 9 months instead of the typical 3 to 4 years. So far, this relationship is working very well. We've had our drilling approvals through very smoothly, and we hope the permitting will continue to be like that over the next year. We're also engaging with the local community, so we had a big session with them just late June. They're all very supportive of seeing another mine up and running. As I said before, the town lives off the mining industry. They want to see this mine up and running. Of course, they want us to comply with all the environmental and heritage issues, which we are doing. We have the team to be able to deliver that. But they're very, very supportive of taking this project forward. We have entered into a number of development partnerships. Probably the most important is the MagBras project. MagBras is a public-private partnership in Brazil to develop a mine-to-magnet supply chain, so a domestic supply chain for rare earths processing and magnet manufacturing. St. George was the first rare earths company to deliver a sample product to MagBras for test work for the production of magnets. So we're a first mover in there, which is very exciting for us. And obviously the long-term potential is that we would be a supplier to MagBras for the production of magnets in Brazil. Remembering that Brazil is a very big country, 220 million people. They make aeroplanes, they make cars, so they need a domestic supply chain. We've also had a lot of knock on the door since we announced this project from people very interested in the niobium offtake, very interested in rare earths offtake. We've signed up an EPC and F contractor, so an engineering firm to help us design the plant and also to fund the construction. The Shinai Group, very experienced globally. The Fangda Group is one of the steelmaking giants in China. They've also signed up to consider offtake and help us fund the development. We're also assessing development partnerships in the US, downstream partnerships. We've all heard about Mountain Pass, and it's had a lot of billions of dollars splashed on it from the Pentagon, but it's only got enough rare earths to satisfy a fraction of what the US needs. So there are a lot of magnet makers and other processing facilities being set up in the US, and they're all very hungry for feed. So we're having a discussion with some of those. Niobium is a terrific commodity. As I said before, we're very disappointed with lithium and nickel, given the supply response. You're not going to have that with niobium. There's supply concentration, only 3 primary producers. CBMM, our neighbor, produces 80% of the world's supply. China Moly, the CMOC operation in Brazil, about 11%, and Neobec, about 9%. So there's definitely enough room for another player. Our aim is to basically produce about 10 to 12% of the world's supply and be the number 2 in the world. Most of the niobium goes into ferroniobium, which is used to make stronger, lighter steel for pipelines, automobiles, aircraft, and it's also used in a lot of military equipment on the cone of missiles and other military equipment. We understand the US is stockpiling niobium at the moment, and no need to guess why. Niobium oxide is a further refined product. That's a powder form, and that's used in high-tech applications like MRI equipment, superconductive magnets, and also an increasing use in batteries. So it makes lighter, faster charging, longer life batteries. It's particularly useful in big vehicles where you need that weight advantage. So for example, CBMM at its plant is using these batteries in buses and trucks at site. The battery has been developed by Sojitz and Toshiba out of Japan. Rare earth space are very topical at the moment, so everyone's probably up to speed with what's happening there. But this table shows a comparison between ourselves and 2 of the other carbonatite hosted deposits that are currently producing, Linus and Mountain Pass, and also Arafura, which is a carbonatite hosted deposit in Australia, which is in development phase. So you can see we're still well undervalued compared to these guys. Of course, Linus and Mountain Pass are in production, so they deserve their 10, 15, $20 billion valuations. But you can see when you go down that chart to the grades and the resource size, we're very comparable to these guys. So again, with Mountain Pass, we've got the same tons. With Linus, we've got the same grade. We actually have more size to our rare earth mineralisation that Linus had when it first started production. So very, very comparable to those major producing mines. We've got enough hurdles still to go through, but that's the opportunity we have at the moment. Big growth period for us to get bigger and increase this valuation. The bubble chart there shows a comparison. We're already up there in terms of grade and volume with the big boys, and you can see a lot of the other names below us in terms of potential. Lots of good news flow coming up this year. The permitting is underway. We'll have news about that in the remainder of 2025 and into 2026. Already engaging with government, already completing a lot of the environmental studies needed to progress that. The most exciting thing is probably the drilling program. And again, we announced our first RC results today. There'll be more expansion and resource definition drilling being completed, more than 9,000 meters drilling still to be completed. We'll have lots of good announcements, I hope, over the next few weeks, culminating in a big upgrade to the JORC resource. That will underpin our development studies, which we're also got underway. Metallurgical test work has started. We've also got a pilot plan. So the previous owner of the project had a pilot plan in place, did produce a rare earth oxide product. We're putting that plant back together with the local university in Araxá, with hopefully some government funding. We'll hope to announce that shortly, and that will help produce sample products of rare earths for us. So lots of good news there as well. Discussions with strategic investors are continuing, particularly with US investors. You may have seen that the US trade representative in Brazil reached out to the Brazil government and said, can we please have a trade agreement for niobium and rare earths, specifically referred to niobium and rare earths trade agreement. So that's under consideration, and we hope to be able to contribute to that as well. And development studies are all started. We're doing a lot of environmental, geotechnical, and development studies. We hope to have a scoping study out by the end of the year, or definitely first quarter next year, just to put a bit of more numbers around the potential development potential. This is a quick company snapshot. So we're listed on the ASX, SGQ. That shows you a number of shares we've got on issue, a number of options, and a reflection of how positive the market has seen our acquisition of this project. So it's just the start. We bought this project to deliver a high multiplier return to our investors. We know that we can start to become comparable, not just in our resource, but also in our operations and market capitalization with some of the big producers. So that's the growth opportunity we have ahead of us. And that is a presentation. So thank you. Harry, I'll turn to you for questions.
Thank you. There's a lot to go through. Sounds like you guys have been working incredibly hard behind the scenes to get it to where it is now, and the pieces of the pie is starting to come together, and hopefully shareholders start to continue to sort of see those benefits. As on that last slide you showed, since the acquisition of the new mine, it's sort of taken off since sort of March, which is very, very exciting. Just a few questions to go through. There's been a few coming through, which is really, really good. I've got a few key ones that I'll sort of mention and go through first, if that's all right, and then we'll sort of jump into the ones of those listening. But the main JORC resource is very, very impressive, as you've just shown, and all the in-depth analysis and detail on that. But how does that compare to other rare earth and main rare earth producers outside of China? You touched on two, but how would you say it compares?
Yeah, absolutely. So that bubble chart we had in the presentation really just shows that we are up there in terms of grade and volume. Grade, of course, is king. Never underestimate the quality of a deposit.
Yeah,
grade is very important, and we've got that grade. So it puts us right up there, comparable to Melbourne Pass and Lynas's Mount Weld operation. We intend to increase the size of the resource with the current drill program.
Yep.
So it'll be even more significant.
Well, I guess you haven't really. I mean, there's only a small part of the mine that's actually been closely drilled, right? Roughly 10%, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So only 10% of the project tenure has been closely spaced drilled. We've already shown that with more drilling, we can discover more mineralisation. So that's a really exciting thing that's going to be happening over the next 3 months.
Yeah, awesome, John. And when you look at the project and the trajectory you guys are on there at St. George, not everything is sunshines and rainbows. I say this all the time on these webinars that I host. What would you say the biggest challenges that you guys are faced with at the moment, given the market conditions and just, obviously being an executive chairman at the firm, what do you see being that the hurdle that you guys are going to have to climb over to get to that stage where, you know, Linus or some of your key competitors are at?
Yeah, absolutely. We really are very lucky to have a de-risk project. So we've already got that JORC resource. So the exploration risk has been taken out. We've only got exploration upside. Our development risk is really being mitigated because we're in an established mining district. We have a cooperation agreement with the state government to support the permitting. So that's largely de-risked as well. We've got the personnel on board from Araxá town itself, experienced in the region to take the project forward. So there aren't too many issues that keep me awake at night. We really have a very good opportunity to take an expedited pathway to development. We just got to keep moving in an efficient way.
Yeah, beautiful. I think that's a good way of looking at it. And a lot of mining companies like to have that de-risk portfolio, so that's obviously the main priority. Now, when I look, there's questions coming in left, right, and center. So I'll touch on a few, and then again I'll continue to ask a few of my questions. But we've just had one come through from Jeffrey. What about the high probability? What about the probability high cost ahead? You know, you'll be progressing to deriving an income. The dilution of shares on the horizon continues to worry, as short-term holders or investors are already sort of 8 months sort of behind the ball, I guess you could say. But I guess the question is regarding funding. I should have read it before I asked you the question, but in terms of capital raisings or I guess the use of funds and any dilution, is that potentially on the cards, or can you just touch on the need for capital moving forward? Obviously, I know you can't go into too much detail, obviously, but you know, the capital raising issue or the funding issues, is there any issues in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. The only certainty with a company prior to going to production is it's going to run out of money. It needs more money, and we are no different to that. But we're very lucky enough to be able to have access to, I think, non-dilutive ways of funding ourselves.
Beautiful.
We're already shown that the share price is moving up favorably. Last two capital raisings, 2 cents and 3.8 cents, and already a share price above 5 cents. So
Beautiful.
if we have to do another capital raising, I think it'll be very well supported. So it will be less dilutive than you think. We're also getting a lot of expressions of interest from these strategic investors who want to give us money, potentially at a premium, and also give us money for offtake finance. And the offtake finance, that's where the big money is going to come from. And that's obviously non-dilutive at all. That's really just paying in advance for the offtake.
Yep.
We expect to be in production for the Niobium in 2027. So that's not too far away. We can start talking seriously about offtake finance to fund the development of this project.
Yeah, beautiful. And obviously on the topic of funding still, it's a big topic of discussion coming through. So I'll try and touch on it as much as possible. But is there any possibility for government financial support of some sort? Obviously, you're talking about offtake agreements and things like that. And then obviously any potential for the US, you know, and the US government potentially getting involved. There's a few questions coming through from Michael and a few others. So is that a target, the US?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're already getting some financial support out of the Brazilian government. So we'll try and tap more into that.
Yeah.
And certainly the US, we're exploring opportunities there. As I mentioned before, there is US is reaching out for a trade agreement. That's the government side of things. But you're also seeing private enterprise also reaching out to make offtake deals with Brazilian rare earths opportunities because they just don't have any rare earths producing in America. They've only got mountain passes of producing mine, and a few of the other opportunities are really low grade. They're not going to satisfy the needs. So there really is a good opportunity to get government funding and also offtake funding from strategic investors to keep that funding balance appropriate.
Yeah, beautiful. And I know obviously the US, you know, there's a big demand for rare earths, and obviously you've got rare earths, that, you know, crucial mineral and critical mineral at the end of the day. But where do you see St. George building those connections in the US, and what's the strategic plan to be able to potentially get that exposure and I guess you know, the upgrade for the company itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So the US Department of Interior published its revised critical minerals list just last week.
Okay.
The top 10 is made up of 5 rare earths and niobium, and then there's gallium and germanium in there as well. So we've got 6 of the top 10. That just tells you
That
straight away.
helps.
but the US is very interested in talking to us.
They
And
are.
US companies, whether they're in the niobium space or the rare earth space, are very keen to talk to us because they need this stuff. These are commodities rated internally by the US as vital for the economic prosperity of the country. So discussions have started. I can't say much more about that at the moment, but we're
Yep.
really quite hopeful that we'll have some good news on that soon.
Excellent. Now, one's just come through from Michael. He's first of all, he said, "Thank you, John." I agree. It's been a great presentation. But given the strong rare earth drill results and the changing market conditions, does this make you consider fast tracking the rare earth production or potentially ahead of niobium? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So the niobium is the really easy one to produce. CBM, we've been doing it for 50 years. We know exactly how to do it, and it's very easy. It's a simple flotation process. So we know we can fast track the niobium side of things. Rare earths, we're doing the metallurgical test work now. We will come up with a flow sheet and a solution, and it depends what kind of product we choose to make. So you could just start with a simple rare earth concentrate. That certainly can be fast tracked because it's a very less intense process. The next one would be an MREC product that requires a little bit more, but also something that can be fast tracked. And then trying to go into the rare earth oxide can be a lot more high capex. So we're going to be looking at those fast track options first, the concentrate and the MREC product, and see if we can deliver into that market now.
Okay, so it sounds like you've thought about all these little intricate details in detail, which is beautiful. It's obviously what shareholders want to see. Make sure you've got every basis covered. Working on those little 1%, as you could say, that are going to yield the best potential result. I've got an understanding that CBMM, they've got a major dominant position in the niobium space. They control most of the market. What is your relationship with them? I know you've got a few key directors and engineers at the firm at St. George now that used to work for CBMM. What's your relationship with them like? And do you see any issues having a mine right next door to them?
CBMM basically created the niobium industry 50 years ago, so they've done a fantastic job in
Correct.
marketing niobium products. In addition to ferroniobium, they make a number of other specialist niobium products. So we think they're terrific. They've done a fantastic job for creating a market for niobium. We want to have a separate operation to them. So we're not really closely tied to their business at all. We want to have an independent operation. And that's what we're seeing from end users as well. We're seeing end users come to us and say, we want a separate source of supply. We want an independent source of supply with you guys.
Yeah.
So that's why we're progressing on our own. And we're getting a lot of encouragement to do that.
Yeah, nice. Excellent. I think a key thing a lot of investors like to look at before taking an investment or a position in any business, no matter what the size is the team behind it. And if they've all got a clear picture and a clear vision of where the company wants to be and where the company wants to go to. I think that's a big thing that we focus on here at ShareWise. I'm sure it is with yourself. But how do you make sure everyone within the company, John, because again, you've got operations in Australia, you've got operations in Brazil. How do you make sure everyone's focused on the same thing at the same time with the same goal, and obviously everyone has the same motivation?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who's got a serious involvement in mining company knows that the motivation is to build a mine. That's what we want to do. So we've already got our discovery. We want to build a mine. Our Brazilian team, they've already had that success with CBMM. They already know how to do it. So they're really motivated to come and join us and to help build our business as well. That's what they're really motivated to do. They're all from Araxá town itself. So they want to contribute to the local community and see this project up and running.
Yep.
Very strongly motivated.
Okay.
And that's our motivation from the Australian-based team as well. We're all really keen to get our project up and running. That's really the end result in any business. So everyone's really motivated to get this project up and running.
Yeah, beautiful. Obviously, seeing something start from almost nothing, I guess you could say. And it sounds like you've got a good team behind you. I've just had a question come in again. Can't see the name. I just see the last name, which I won't mention. But they're asking, Araxá is not the only rare earths project that St. George has. In March 2024, SGQ announced another project, the Destiny Project. Now, could you touch a little bit on that and any planned updates that is going on there and any progress that's been made?
Yeah, no, Destiny was very exciting for us for a short period. We did see some very good grades, but it really didn't stack up, I think, to have economic potential. So we've actually parked that one for the time being.
Okay.
That one still had a lot of exploration risk and uncertain outcome. We didn't want that anymore for shareholders. We wanted a no exploration risk and a more certain outcome, and that's why
Yeah.
we moved to Araxá. Already
Beautiful.
a global resource when we bought it, making it even a more prominent project as we go along. So
Yeah.
the big focus is definitely on Araxá.
Okay. So it wasn't exactly what you initially thought. So you've de-risked and you've looked to focus on something with a significant amount of upside. And rather than burning cash on something else that might not look as promising, you focused on something much more beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that's de-risked, has got a more certain upside potential
Yeah,
that we're
nice.
already starting to deliver.
Beautiful. Well, look, the dig results today, they're pretty much from surface level. You didn't have to dig very deep at all, which is really, really promising. Who knows what else is up when you get a little bit deeper. When it comes to the drill results, when is that expected to come out? What should shareholders be expecting in terms of time frame?
Yeah, so we've got 3 diamond rigs out there at the moment, also drilling with RC rigs. So lots of samples going into the labs. We should have some more drill results to announce in about 3 weeks.
Beautiful.
And then pretty much on a rolling basis, lots of diamond drill results. The diamond drilling will be a bit deeper, so it takes a little
Yeah.
bit longer to complete. They'll be going down to about 100 meters. The
Okay.
RC only went down to about 50 meters. But certainly there's a great pipeline of results coming
Yeah.
through.
No, that's excellent. I think that's the excitement. The shareholders want to hear. It gets me excited as well. I'm excited to follow the journey. John, again, I do appreciate your time. I do want to wrap things up so people have got things to get on with and things to do. But I will ask a question I always ask everyone that I host these webinars with is, if there was one reason why someone should become a shareholder of your company or the company St. George in this instance, or continue to be a shareholder, what would that reason be and why, from your perspective, John?
Yes, very clear. We're going through a fantastic growth period right now with the Araxá project. So we've got a global resource. We're drilling it to make it bigger. We're coming out with metallurgical test work soon. The opportunity is to try and get up to where those global majors are. We have a comparable resource. If we can just get a fraction of what those guys are, we've made a lot of money for our shareholders. So this is the journey to get on. Right now, we're very cheap, I think, from where we're going to be in a year's time. So a very good opportunity to invest right now, I think.
Beautiful. And if there's one thing that is probably the most important part about St. George, what would that be? Obviously, maybe a little bit separate to what we've spoken about. If there's one thing that you'd want shareholders to know that could create a little bit of excitement, what do you think that would be?
Well, we're very transparent as we have to be. So all the news is out there. It's really just re-emphasizing the opportunity we have. We're already the largest undeveloped high-grade rare earth deposit in the world. So there's the opportunity. As we deliver more milestones, more catalysts, we will be re-rated. We will have a higher market cap, and that's how we create shareholder value.
Beautiful. I think that's sometimes those things that investors want to hear, and it looks very, very promising. And John, like I said, I'll be following the journey, and I'll be backing you guys, and hopefully seeing some good results for you and shareholders to come. But I do want to thank you for your time. Any last words from your end before we wrap things up?
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. As I mentioned, we're going through a great growth phase, a great opportunity to invest. Our intention as a management is to deliver a high multiplier return to our shareholders, and we're determined to deliver.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. It has been another ShareWise webinar. As I said, my name is Harry McCaskill, one of the senior advisors and a head of desk here at ShareWise. So we're very, very happy that we could have this presentation and have John present, which is very, very exciting. If you have any questions about SGQ or ShareWise, feel free to reach out to ShareWise on our website. And John, I'm sure you can get in contact with him. But enjoy the afternoon, everyone. And John, I appreciate your time once again.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you, shareholders.
Thanks.